We've got a new lawsuit that's been filed that's at the heart of the Epstein pedophile scandal involving Donald Trump. This time by Maurene Comey. Who's she? She's the daughter of James Comey, the former FBI director for Donald Trump and a political enemy, apparently, of Donald Trump. Donald Trump used Laura Loomer to go after Maurene Comey to fire her after her 10-year exemplary career at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District. She was the prosecutor that brought down Ghislaine Maxwell, that prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein, that prosecuted P. Diddy, put dozens and dozens and dozens, up to hundreds of people away for fraud and sexual abuse and under organized crime. And her only crime, why she was fired? Because of who her father was. She did nothing wrong, except Laura Loomer decided to go after her in her own war with Pam Bondi and said, to try to embarrass Pam Bondi, does Donald Trump know that James Comey, the former FBI director for him, that his daughter and son-in-law work in the Department of Justice? That's all she wrote. She didn't list anything that Maurene Comey had done wrong or underhanded or unethically. She's been a prosecutor without regard to fear or favor from the very beginning, just doing her job in a nonpartisan way. And now she's filed a new lawsuit. And I'm going to make the connection between the new lawsuit and the Epstein scandal and Donald Trump's cover-up of it also here on Legal AF. Take a moment and hit that free subscribe button. We're going to hit our 1-year birthday in 2 days. And we're glad you're here to help us celebrate. All right, let's get to the lawsuit. She got fired in July because she's related to James Comey. But it also goes deeper than that, because I'm convinced that Donald Trump wanted to get rid of the resistance that Maurene Comey would have provided to Donald Trump trying to use Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker who was convicted by Maurene Comey, because Donald Trump wanted to use her to rehabilitate his own career. Child sex trafficker has to vouch for the president of the United States because he's beneath her in reputation. But in order to do that, there was a multi-step, multifaceted program here, right? First, you had to make sure that when Todd Blanche, who gave her immunity on behalf of Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, that there was nobody in the room who could challenge Ghislaine Maxwell as she cleared and exonerated Donald Trump's involvement with Epstein. And certainly not the prosecutor, Maurene Comey, who knew everything about Epstein and everything about Ghislaine Maxwell, and would poke her elbow to Todd Blanche and say, that's a lie. They didn't want anybody there to be a truth detector, to be a lie detector. So they fired Maurene Comey a couple of weeks before they did the interview with Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, we know from the recently released or leaked 18,000 emails in Jeffrey Epstein's email inbox that Bloomberg got their hands on, that Ghislaine Maxwell lied to Todd Blanche over and over and over again. Other than stating her name under oath and that she knew Jeffrey Epstein, the rest apparently was a lie. And under the law, if you lie about one thing, you're presumed to have lied about all things. That's the way those doctrines work in the court of law. And that would be the instruction that would be given to a jury. She lied about this. She must be lying about that. You may make that assumption. I would certainly ask for that instruction of the jury if I had Ghislaine Maxwell there. She lied about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the depths of it. She lied about her financial connectivity to him. She lied about how much money she made with him. She lied, when I say she lied to Todd Blanche, but Todd Blanche didn't care. He was complicit. He wanted her to lie. All he wanted to hear, with blinders on his ears, all he wanted her to say was that Donald Trump wasn't a pedophile. And the rest of it was just window dressing, was just blather. And so she lied about the closeness of her relationship with Epstein. They were going to make a baby together. She lied about her knowledge about his sexual assaults of women and girls. It's all there in the 18,000 emails that were recovered. But in order for someone to know that's a lie, you'd have to have, if you're Todd Blanche, somebody next to you named Maurene Comey. They didn't want Maurene Comey, so they let her be Loomered Laura Loomer, the right-wing podcaster influencer who has Donald Trump's ear and who knows what other body parts, who makes it a sport to go after people, civil servants especially, and have them fired by Donald Trump. Donald Trump's even admitted it. He said, if you've been Loomered, your career is over, because he's outsourced to Laura Loomer attacking what he perceives to be his political rivals. And if he doesn't have a political rival because they're just nonpartisan and they're just civil servants, he creates them. He manufactures it through Laura Loomer. And Maurene Comey was on the receiving end of it. She had an exemplary career. It was unblemished. Not only unblemished, she was celebrated. She was rewarded. She was given commendations just 90 days before she was fired. She obtained the convictions of people like Sean Combs and Ghislaine Maxwell for 20 years and hundreds of other people. But once she got on Loomer's radar, that it was all over. So she's claiming in the lawsuit, and I'll read to you from pages of it, she has 10 different counts. She wants to be reinstated. She wants her job back. I got a great first thing she can do if her job is given back to her as a remedy by the court for what has happened to her. She should be prosecuting Ghislaine Maxwell all over again for the lie she told to violate her immunity agreement, and therefore we should throw away her entire attempt to rehabilitate Donald Trump. And her rehabilitation campaign to call herself the victim in order to get a pardon from Donald Trump, Maurene Comey should go after that as well when she gets her job back, along with a big pile of money from the U.S. government. She sued the Department of Justice. She sued the president. And there's a novel theory in here, which is similar to something that I had argued back in April and May when Donald Trump was busy putting out to pasture and mothballing commissions and agencies related to federal workers and other workers and their rights, like the Office of Special Counsel, which is not the prosecutors, it's the ombudsperson, whistleblower, investigative body, like the Merit Systems Protection Board, headed by Kathy Harris, like the National Labor Relations Board, headed by Gwen Wilcox. When he fired all of them, I said he wasn't going to replace these people. And for the Merit Systems Protection Board, it's down to one person. They're responsible for appeals related to federal firings, places that you can go when you're a federal worker to make sure your civil service rights are not violated in the firing, which of course Maurene Comey argues that they were. National Labor Relations Board is for organized labor and other workers to come to complain about workplace discrimination and abuses. But Donald Trump fired those people. The Supreme Court let them fire those people, and he never replaced them, which is exactly what I said was going to happen, meaning they don't have a quorum and they can't operate. By not operating, there's no place to go for your appeal. So when Maurene Comey, as she argued in her complaint, when she got fired, they said, you got 30 days to bring it up on an appeal to the Merit Systems Protection Board because they didn't want her to run to court. And she said, it's futile. That's a legal doctrine. It's futile for me to do that because there is no Merit Systems Protection Board, because Donald Trump fired Kathy Harris because the other person retired and there's only one person left and there's no quorum. That person can't take any action. That's why I'm in court. Great argument. Really smart, great argument. Shout out to the lawyers from Deepa Vanamali in Madison Avenue in New York, kind of near my old stomping grounds there. I had an office between Park and Madison on 38th, and Koskoff and Biter in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Great arguments. They also argue Fifth Amendment violation, violation of separation of powers, violation of the First Amendment. And then they have a whole section, and I'm going to post this on today on Legal AF Substack, so that under Filings AF, so that you can get a hold of it and you can read it for yourself. But what she outlines is the following. This is on page 1. In the first several paragraphs. Plaintiff Maurene Comey was an exemplary, dedicated, and highly decorated public servant who spent 10 years prosecuting crime and corruption without fear and favor as an assistant United States attorney in the Southern District of New York, which had been the preeminent prosecutorial body in America, I would argue, and now it lays in waste. It's in tatters, its reputation. She prosecuted hundreds of people for homicide, racketeering, and public corruption. And then she was summarily fired because she says because of her fact that her father is former FBI Director James Comey, or because of her perceived political affiliation and beliefs, or both. And then she talks about how Donald Trump has gone after James Comey. In fact, let me show you a clip of Donald Trump going after James Comey.
James Comey and John Brennan, now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people, so whatever happens, happens.
And then she does a deep dive into how Laura Loomer has now, I don't know if Laura Loomer found her in order to troll Pam Bondi, the Department of Justice Attorney General, and Maurene Comey is collateral. I don't believe that. Or Donald Trump needed to get rid of Maurene Comey in order to continue to cover up his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in the Epstein pedophile investigation. That's what I think really happened. And so he ordered Loomer, they whispered to Loomer to go after Maurene Comey. Just like we're watching this amazing, unprecedented, disgusting scene coming out of the White House in which Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance are holding some sort of talk show on the company dime in violation of the Hatch Act to go after people in the other party in the name of Charlie Kirk, their newfound martyr and savior. From the White House, they're doing a podcast for commercial purposes. I'm sure the money's going somewhere during the day while they're employed. It violates and crosses so many ethical, political, and legal lines. It's going to take me an entire Legal AF YouTube channel in order to sort it all out for you, I promise. That was just today. So does anybody doubt that Donald Trump told Laura Loomer to go after Maurene Comey so he could clear the way for the Epstein cover-up that he's in the midst of? No. Here's what she says in her filing about Laura Loomer going after her. She says on page 21, paragraph 64, on May 18th, 2025, Ms. Loomer, with 1.7 million followers, called for the firing of the liberal daughter and Democrat son-in-law of James Comey. Trolling over and over and over again, as outlined in paragraph 64 of the complaint, trolling Pam Bondi, which she calls Pam Blondie, to show you that she has no respect for, she's trying to pull down Pam Bondi, Laura Loomer, but she ends up getting Maurene Comey. And then she says both Maurene Comey and Lucas Issacharoff, which is her husband, need to be fired from the DOJ immediately. Has anybody told Donald Trump that Comey's daughter still works at the DOJ? And then when she got fired on July 16th, Laura Loomer celebrated and took full credit. She said on paragraph 67 that this comes 2 months after my pressure campaign on Pam Blondie to fire Comey's daughter and Comey's son-in-law from the DOJ. +1 for Blondie today. Except you can't do that because she's a civil servant, because she has certain rights that have been violated, including those protected by the Fifth Amendment. She has a property right in her job, can't be removed without due process considerations. She has a First Amendment right not to be fired because of her perceived political views, which she's never expressed. She can't be forced to go through the Merit Systems Protection Board because Donald Trump has completely hollowed it out and fired it. And now she wants her job back. So it's called reinstatement. I've done a fair amount of federal employment law. So she wants a declaration that the separation of powers has been violated. Article 2 has been violated. The Administrative Procedures Act has been violated. The Fifth Amendment, the First Amendment. She wants her back pay. So she's been out of job since July. She wants front pay. She wants her attorney's fees. And she wants reinstatement. She wants a mandamus for reinstatement. Now, it says on page 38, an order requiring defendants to immediately reinstate plaintiff and enjoin defendants from taking any further personnel action against her in violation of her Fifth Amendment rights. Will she get her job back? She should. I'm telling you, the first thing up should be going back after Ghislaine Maxwell for violating her proffer agreement, her immunity agreement, and put her back in prison on top of the 20 years, and put her back in and move her out of that Fed spa she got moved to in reward for exonerating Donald Trump. I'll continue to follow it all right here on Legal AF. Go over to Legal AF Substack, where you can grab this complaint. I'll file it. I'll put it up today on Filings AF for you to read. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.